And welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who knows what a leverage penalty is. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I don't know what a leverage penalty is, honestly, but yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing well. A lot of confusion over the leverage penalty in the Broncos Colts game. We will get into it. A lot of Kyle, a very fun week 2. Maybe a bit of a step back from the crazy week 1, largely with just, polar opposite Sunday night football games. But we have 14 games, plenty of good stuff to get into.
Yeah, a lot to get into this weekend. This morning slate, the 1:00 slate, Eastern time. What a slate of games that turned out to be. That was really good. Some drama, no doubt.
Yeah, there was a ton of. There's 4 games that were all coming down to the wire at the same point. Then a little bit, the 9-3 is a bit of a tough stretch with then to eat the afternoon games only having 3, but you had really all 3 of those games ended up being interesting. And then the Sunday Night Football was a bit of a dud. That's unfortunate, but as always, we start off with Sunday Night Football games. So shall we just dive into it?
Yeah, let's jump into it. I think there has to be a conversation about these Atlanta Falcons. 1-1. They were a busted coverage away from being 2-0 to start the season against 2 playoff teams. And while it's not perfect, I guess here's the question for Atlanta. What if they kind of just nailed this draft? Billy Bauman was a guy I really liked in college. I didn't know how it would translate to the NFL, but he had an interception in this game. Jalen Walker and James Pierce get sacks. Xavier Watts has looked pretty good, I think, in his first 2 weeks of his NFL career, too. You just look at this defense all of a sudden, it's not perfect, but at the same time, they held the Vikings to 6 points. I think they had some good stuff against Tampa Bay. All of a sudden, this Atlanta team looks pretty interesting. What are your thoughts, I guess, through the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this Falcons defense does look way better than maybe we thought it would be heading into it. Granted, they've gotten to go up against against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had their Tristan Wirfs, their superstar left tackle, was injured in this game. No Christian Darrisaw, and then his backup got hurt as well. So then you had a third string tackle playing there. So that probably helps the edge rushers look a little bit better with that. But still, I do think this is I agree. I think this Falcons defense looks good. I'll take a quick second just to answer a super chat from Overlap. Yes, Overlap 618 back with, I want to know updates on Joe Burrow injury and if the Bengals have a shot to make the playoffs with the backup. This is the number 1 mod, Overlap. You are the number 1 mod. That is definitely true. We'll get into it. We'll get it when we get to the Bengals. We will talk about all of that stuff, Overlap. But yeah, back to the Vikings, Falcons. Yeah, I completely agree. I think this Falcons defense through 2 weeks looks like it's the real deal.
Yeah. And at least at the minimum, it's like an upgrade, right? And yes, this was not the best. I don't think either of the quarterbacks in this game, both young, painted themselves in glory. I think it's definitely looking like a slow process for both of these guys, which is fair. They're both young. They're both inexperienced. So I think that's a fair expectations against 2 decent defenses. But I think if you just look at this Atlanta side with decent quarterback play, with Bijan Robinson, the way he's playing to start this season, where, he was terrific in this game. He was the best offensive player by far. And with the defense that, if this defense is at least top 20 instead of as terrible as it was last season, this is probably a playoff team, and you're looking at potentially more. Because I think this is the decent side overall. I think there's a lot of skill talent on this offense, and if you have a passable defense, you're gonna have an opportunity to win a lot of games like they did today.
Yeah. Again, I think the flip side is, what do we make of JJ McCarthy, who through 2 games now, he's played 8 quarters of football. 7 of them have not been very good. One of them was NFC Player of the Week worthy, apparently. But this is a disappointing performance from McCarthy. I think. Listen, just over 50% completion, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's not what you want here, especially with all the weapons that they have. Sure, the Falcons defense looks better, but there were opportunities here that McCarthy was not hitting on.
Yeah, it's been a grind, but look, we're so ready to write these guys off so fast sometimes. Like I feel like I almost have to defend him. Like it's his second career NFL start, right? like,
Uh-huh.
like
Sure, but it's Michael Penix's sixth, and he was definitely he at least protected the football. I agree. I'm not writing McCarthy off. I'm just saying,
yeah,
again, like I'm just saying, like he hasn't shot out of the gate like a cannon the way like Jaden Daniels did.
no, not at all. And like, look, Penix was better in this game, but he had two more completions on the same amount of pass attempts and had less yards. Like it's not like Penix was amazing in this game. Both of these guys look like they need more time. And
Sure.
that's the risk you take if you're Minnesota. Like you let Sam Darnold go, which I still think was the right decision. However, you have a quarterback who is in his second career NFL start. So it's going to take time. And the unfortunate thing is I think this roster is talented enough to compete right now. And right now they're not getting quarterback play to compete. So we'll see how it builds and how it develops. But yeah, I think this team I think they definitely need better quarterback play if they're going to reach their high expectations because, like I said, despite this performance and struggling in the first half of that Bears game, I think this team's really talented. Like they even competed in this game for as long as they can until the very end, despite subpar quarterback play. And I mean, there's still a lot of talent on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, listen, I'm not trying to say like, I just think that like after the first week of JJ McCarthy, we were wondering, okay, is he just going to be that fourth quarter throughout? And then maybe that was too high expectations. But it was not a great showing. But again, you have to wonder how much the offensive line injuries play a factor as well. As young quarterbacks like to hold on to the ball a little bit longer. And I think that you have to hurt that internal clock has to get sped up, and it had to get sped up even more in this game, which you saw the pressure. So yeah, I mean, they play the Bengals next week. That could be an opportunity to, I mean, again, they have good pass rushers, but that could be an opportunity to throw more. So it's all part of the process, but it still was an underwhelming performance. I think that's fair to say.
I would definitely agree with that. So yeah, I think both of these quarterbacks need more time. The tough thing is that they're both on good teams.
Yeah.
The Falcons obviously had a different sort of plan for, passing the torch along to Michael Penix. And maybe that was expedited faster than they were prepared for. But I think he's also had better performances than this. I think he's going to be fine. This is a really tough defense. Like I grade Penix more on a curve than McCarthy in this game because, Flores just throws things at quarterbacks that like they don't see, and I think he's looked just fine to start the season. I think he looked good in the Tampa game. And yeah, I mean, the benefit though is you have a guy like Bijan Robinson who you can hand the ball 22 times and he's going to have 6.5 yards to carry.
Yes, and we ended it's Bijan Robinson. He says his parents will call him Bijan, or his mom will call him Bijan, but he likes Bijan. So we finally got that solved.
All right. Well, Dijon Mustard, Bijan Robinson, here we go.
Yes. Also, could have, again, game could have been a lot more one-sided for Atlanta if they could convert once they got in field goal range, or if Drake London didn't have that fumble. So honestly, this game could have been even more lopsided. A couple nice throws from McCarthy in certain obvious passing situations, but yeah, good win for the Falcons.
Yeah, good win for the Falcons, and obviously, like you still don't have Adamson out there. It's still a huge part of this offense. You give them some time, but like I said, I think this roster is still good enough to beat anybody, and like you give them chance because it's only a second start, but you're going to need better down the stretch. You're going to need better by the end of the season.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. Young quarterbacks are always difficult to figure out. Let's go to a couple quarterbacks that are Super Bowl champions playing against each other. The Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. We got the rematch. Definitely, a defensive battle in this one as, neither quarterback gets over 200 yards. Jalen Hurts was barely over 100 yards. Chris Jones was smack talking him after the game by saying, you didn't even go for over 100 yards. And Jalen Hurts said, shut the F up. We won, which is funny. Also, he did go over 100 yards, but that's besides the point. Yeah, a very very entertaining game. There was a moment late, I believe it was early in the fourth quarter, when Travis Kelce appeared to have some room for a touchdown that would have put the Chiefs up by 17-13. Instead, he drops the pass. It gets intercepted and returned a long way. The Eagles march down the field and score a touchdown. And then that was kind of the dagger there. The Chiefs didn't add another touchdown to make it a 3-point game. But there was that. There was tush push controversy. A lot of stuff going on in this one, Kyle.
Yeah, wild game indeed. And obviously the Chiefs, I mean, the thing is it felt like a very un-Kansas City Chiefs game. I mean, we talk about like these great teams over the years, and the best thing they do more than anybody else, on top of having just superior talent, which they generally have over the years when they've won Super Bowls, but the things that they generally do better than everybody else is not shoot themselves in the foot. And it felt like Kansas City shot themselves in the foot a lot of times in this game. Like they could have won this game. And it's interesting because it just feels like it's a hampered version of Kansas City. Obviously, they're dealing with a lot of injuries on the receiver front. It's probably not a good thing when Tyquan Thornton's your number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes is your number one rusher by a significant margin, and they can't
by
really
twice as much.
Yeah.
He outrushed the rest of the running backs combined.
Yeah. They can't get anything going, man. Like, the offensive line is subpar outside of, I still think Humphrey and Smith are good.
Yeah.
But the rest of the offensive line is not good enough for this group. And listen, a lot can change. I'm still saying if Kansas City gets to January, they're going to be fine and they're going to be competing for a Super Bowl and be in the conversation. But this looks far from a Super Bowl winning roster, despite this 2017 result against the reigning Super Bowl champs. Like, I don't think this offense is good enough to beat a lot of teams. I don't think this offense is good enough to beat a lot of teams in the AFC right now. So I have a little bit of concerns, even though I think it is going to right the ship eventually. Right now, it's not looking like the team that we're expecting it to be.
It's very weird, right? Because the Chiefs had a better time moving the ball. They had 5.2 yards per play. The Eagles only had 3.7. The Chiefs realistically were one uncharacteristic mistake by Travis Kelce away from potentially beating the Super Bowl favorites right now. That the Eagles are the Super Bowl favorites, and they were right there. So, like, it's kind of weird that we all have the reaction of, like, the Chiefs, like, what's going wrong? And, of course, at some point they will be getting both Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice back. So, ultimately, I am... again, I think was this the team we said last week is like it's the beginning of the horror movie sequel where it's like everything seems fine now, but like there's still like we know the monsters lurking in the background. I still kind of feel that way about Kansas City. Like again, I mean, one of the big concerns like Mahomes running so much, like he's taking some bad hits. That's concerning. Trying to keep his team in it with that, but like as long as they have 15, like, and they're going to get more pieces. I agree, they're not top tier right now. They're just not. But I still don't think it's time. I still don't think you can write this team off.
Yeah. I mean, the numbers for him are not even doing him justice. Like he's been so good these first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And like 16 to 29 for 187 yards. Like that's like Bo Nix numbers. And you're like, like he is, this is an infinitely better player. Like he's just doing fantastic stuff, and he's not getting the credit for it because things are happening. And like, it's all just interesting though. Like you said, we think there's the monster lurking in the background, and there might be. Like they're gonna make everybody look stupid in January when they win 3 straight games or whatever. Right? Even if they're all on the road, but like. Travis Kelce has had multiple, the interception was the big play in this game, but like multiple games in a row, he's had big mistakes that have cost his team points or even just like opportunities. And, Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco are usually guys we rely on for this team, and they've just been non-factors. So
yeah.
I just don't know. Like all of it's looking bad. Like I think the Mahomes deep ball, like I know he hit the big one to Thornton in this game, but I also think that's been lacking. And that was something that they were saying that they're going to emphasize this offseason. There are still things I worry about. I guess the one thing you could look at is the defense looked infinitely better today because the Philadelphia offense, like you said, really struggled outside of their first drive. They went down and got points immediately. And honestly, like it looked like it was going to be a blowout pretty quickly. and then all of a sudden the defense for Kansas City came in and did its job and kept them in the game because this looked like it was going to get ugly, but Philadelphia really, I think the first 2 weeks it's been kind of interesting seeing this team try to move the ball. I know they had a really good stretch in that Dallas game, but based on what we saw Russell Wilson do in this game, week 2, I don't know what that Dallas defense is and how good they are. And it's not like they're, lighting the world on fire with this new offensive coordinator.
I think we might know what that Dallas team is. I think the defense is, at least, not in a good way. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Last week it was a lot of Jalen Hurts, I feel like, making things happen, and then there wasn't really those opportunities this week. He did make a deep pass to Devonta Smith, who made a big play, but they're not getting downfield passing through 2 weeks, which has really been a surprise because personnel-wise, you think they would have opportunities, again, with the exception of that one Devonta Smith pass down the field. Eagles defense woke up in this game. Maybe Cowboys offense is just good. We'll see when we get more of a sample size. But I mean, ultimately they're 2-0 and they've beaten 2 challenging teams, a division rival and the Chiefs. So can't complain too much.
Yeah, you can't complain too much. And I think that Dallas offense is good. So like regardless of what that result should have been, or like if you wanted that more comfortable, like they have beaten 2 decent sides, and you could say Kansas City is still a good side, despite the performance so far. So I think Eagles are doing their job. And this was a team even last year where it seemed like they ramped up by end of October, November, where they were the best team in the league. So you hope that happens. I think when you look at the Eagles, the bright side is like you said, the secondary looked much better in this game. I thought DeJean had a big impact. I thought, what's the kid's name? The rookie, Makuba, I thought was really good in this game. So those are 2 guys you look at and say, those are guys are going to have impact on this team with a lot of new faces on defense.
Yeah, optimistic win for the Eagles. Let's keep it moving. Let's stay with the late window. Let's go Broncos Colts. I brought up the leverage penalty. This was a wild game where both offenses were rolling in the first half with it was 21-20 at the end of the first half. Cooled off a bit. Where in the fourth quarter there was only 6 points scored. Colts had 2 field goals. It looked like it was only going to be 1 field goal. Where there was a 60-yard field goal attempt for the Indianapolis Colts. They miss it, but there was a leverage penalty, which resulted in not just a re-kick, but a 15-yard penalty, turned into a 45-yard field goal that was made, and the Colts win. Just the leverage penalty, I'll just say, was the correct call. I went back and watched it. The broadcast didn't do a great job. They circled like 4 different guys, so no one knew what it was. But you can't put your hand on a defender and then use that to have you jump up. That is illegal, and so that's the rule. It does tend to get called. It just doesn't happen that often, but horrible decision to do that. Don't get the ref that opportunity for a 60-yard field goal. Like that's a bad idea, bad job. So yeah, that ultimately is the difference. Daniel Jones was amazing. Jonathan Taylor was amazing. Where do you want to go with this?
I'm not panicking if I'm either of these teams. Like that's a frustrating loss if I'm Denver, right? Like because you committed a dumb penalty. Like that has been a rule for a few years now. This isn't a new thing, the leverage thing. I mean, it doesn't get called a lot, like you said, but it's not a new thing. And to do it on a 60-yard field goal attempt feels pretty silly. I'm not panicking if I'm either of these teams because I came away from this game thinking both of these teams are playoff teams. Like I've held Denver to high regards this season anyways, preseason, and I think they look good in this game. I think the offense really came alive. The Troy Franklin, outburst in this game brings me a lot of optimism because I like Cortland Sutton, I like Marvin Mims. I think having those 3 guys all of a sudden gives you a lot of options. And Bo Nix outside, Bo Nix I thought played really well. I thought Daniel Jones played better, but they both played really well in my opinion. So I came away from this game thinking both of these teams are playoff teams. And like, look, we've only seen 1 week of the Texans. There's only 1 week of data point. I think right now the Colts are my favorite for the AFC South. I think this team's good. I think this team's really talented. They came up with some big plays in this game, and like Daniel Jones has looked good. Could he be this year's Sam Darnold? And I definitely think it's possible. And with him and Taylor and Tyler Warren continuing to put in good performances, I think this is a very interesting team going forward. I think this would be my team to win the AFC South as far as this goes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, we'll see. I don't want to jinx my own team for tomorrow night, but we'll see. Kyle, big surprise. The Colts were attacking Pat Surtain in this game. Pat
Mhm.
Surtain ends up being by far and away the leading tackler for the Broncos. 9 tackles, and 7 of them were solo tackles. They were throwing at him. They weren't afraid to try him, and were having success there. Shane Steichen and this offensive coaching staff did a great job at scheming stuff up for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones made a couple of really nice plays on his own as well. There was a Tyler Warren blown coverage due to him lined up as a fullback. They didn't pick him up. There was, a Jonathan Taylor wheel route that got him wide open. Like some really good stuff by this entire Colts offense. So,
Mhm.
yeah, this is the Colts are. I think they're a real deal again against the defense that we all thought is like maybe the best defense in football.
Yeah. Yeah, this checked a lot of boxes for me. Like, long term we'll see. It feels like one of those things we'll see what happens when they get filmed. But like, I also think it's one of those things where it's like you see the difference between like the 20th best quarterback and the 30th best quarterback in football, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that just feels like a big jump. And people don't really factor that because we always want to identify the top 10 guys or the top 5 guys. And I think those are both really important. I think having a top 10 quarterback is important for long-term success in the NFL. But I think people disregard the idea of jumping from the 30th best quarterback to the 20th best quarterback as really important. And Daniel Jones is playing at a level even higher than that potentially. So really good performance for him, really good performance for this team. And like you said, this offense is checking a lot of boxes.
Yeah. Just real quick for round it out with the Broncos. Bo Nix, I mean, got to protect the football better. It's been kind of the story for the first 2 weeks, but I agree. I thought he played a very, very solid game in this one. Just didn't have enough playmakers coming through. J.K. Dobbins had a pretty good day. Troy Franklin had a good day, but that was essentially it. Your guy, R.J. Harvey, 5 carries for 8 yards. That's not going to get it done. They needed more, essentially, in this. And again, that's the Colts defense, which is also playing well. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to see some of these guys step up. Like this is kind of the Cortland Sutton conversation too. Like, we like Cortland Sutton. I'm a pretty big Cortland Sutton fan in ways, but at the same time, when if you're a number 1 receiver on an NFL team, you can't have 1 catch for 6 yards. Like your team needs you. Like,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate. So I think that is a big talking point for this team. And they got good quarterback play, and they had good enough quarterback play to win this game. And unfortunately, they couldn't capitalize.
I mean, they had enough just play to win this game. They had it. They just don't commit that penalty, and you win. And you're 2-0 and 2 games ahead of the Chiefs. Now, they're going to be a game behind. Whoever wins the Raiders Chargers game tomorrow night will lead the AFC West. Let's move on. Overlap is begging for the Cincinnati Bengals, so let's go there. I was thinking about going to this game next anyway because crazy game. I mean, I had this on one of my made my first window games, and then I ended up taking it off once Burrow got hurt. But I had to put it back on because it turned into this crazy game of both quarterbacks were making great plays down the field and also turning the ball over. It was Jameis Winston. This is Jameis Winston's favorite game of the week, probably, with what was going on in this one. Obviously Joe Burrow being the big story, him going out with turf toe, is expected to miss at least 3 months, which is like crazy. I mean, this is some Bengals fan wished on a monkey's paw for him to finally have a good start, because that's essentially what's happened. I had to remind myself the Bengals are 2-0 because it feels like it's such a disaster, and yet they're undefeated. Would I go 17-0, Kyle?
17-0 feels like a stretch. They've won.
Okay.
The funny thing is they lost all of those close games last year, and it's over and over again. They talk about those 1-score games being flipped back and forth, right? Well, they're 2-0 in 1-score games at this point, but you're looking at this next stretch. They have the Vikings, the Broncos, the Lions, the Packers, the Steelers next on their schedule. As okay as Jake Browning played in this game, even with the turnovers, that's a tough ask. That's a tough ask. So yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase is that guy. I mean, Jamar Chase showed in this game why he's maybe the most impactful offensive player in football that's not a quarterback. He was terrific in this game. But but you're asking a lot of him and T. Higgins to carry this team without Joe Burrow. So yeah, I think it's a tough ask, and I think this team is probably trending itself out, unfortunately, even with the 2-0 start, because like you said, they've started well in December with the 2 wins, even if they're not like inspiring wins, but we'll see how it adjusts.
Yeah. I think listen, like I think Jake Browning is interesting because he's not your typical backup quarterback. Like he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. He throws it down the field. He's not afraid to take chances, which for the Bengals is kind of what you want with their receivers and with their offensive line. You want someone who will get rid of the ball quickly. But yeah, I mean, their schedule I think is too tough. I think that this is probably with Burrow essentially missing the entire regular season. I just don't see the Cincinnati Bengals team being able to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We've been wrong before, but that feels like a tough ask. And there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. Like I said, that Broncos Colts game, those both looked like playoff teams. The Chargers and Raiders both looked pretty good last week. We expect the Chiefs to be back in the conversation. The Steelers had a good week 1. I mean, it just feels like that's a lot to ask for Cincinnati to make up that ground. So even though I don't think it's a terrible team, like, yeah, I think that's a big gap.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm fully buying into them as a playoff team if like Joe Burrow was healthy and going to play next week. Like I think like I'd still like I'm like not sure about that, especially without that. Maybe Jake Browning will surprise us, but I'm not banking on it, which is frustrating. This just sucks, right? Like the Bengals finally start decent and like, okay, is Joe Burrow gonna we're gonna see him in the playoffs? Joe Burrow's so fun in the playoffs. I want more Joe Burrow in the playoffs.
Exactly. That's the frustrating thing. And he hasn't even started this season that spectacularly. Like, it's not all his fault. Like, obviously, this team just in general has issues. But, like, he wasn't that awesome in this game before he got hurt. Like, yeah, it's just it's a tough situation for Cincinnati. So we'll see how they adjust. I mean, long term, we're expecting it to downturn a little bit. And we're expecting this team to miss the playoffs. The Jacksonville conversation, though, I think is interesting. A lot of talk about what happened, not like with the coaching staff and players in this game. There's a lot of conversation all of a sudden about like Trevor Lawrence shrugging off the coach in the middle of the game. The coach in the press conference talking about Brian Thomas ducking tackles. Like, it's week 2 and this team's 1-1. That's not a fantastic sign for what's to come.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is like, okay, usually you almost view like the hierarchy as like quarterback who's been paid always is at the highest point. I don't know if that's the case in this scenario because Liam Cohen has like more power than most coaches get because that's what it took for him to sign on. So I do think that like if push came to shove, I think that you might see. I don't think it's crazy that and that he at the end of this year you get a Denver Broncos Russell Wilson situation when Sean Payton joins, tries to fix Wilson. It goes okay, but it's not great. And they say, okay, let's move off of Wilson, eat the dead cap, and go from there. That's not out of the question for me here because a lot of good schemed up stuff in this game. Just X's and O's, a lot of good schemed up stuff. A lot of stuff was open. Lawrence was able to make most of those throws, but then the turnovers were what killed them. And again, one of those was on Brian Thomas Jr. ducking out of tackle. So like, and there was also a fumbled snap that didn't hurt them, but yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is not a horrible quarterback, but like he might just need to go to a new team and like not get paid a ton of money to have success.
Yeah, needs a new situation. I mean, this is a weird team at this point. Like 2 weeks into the season, we'll see how it adjusts. But like Brian Thomas is a really talented receiver, and 4 catches on 12 targets is just not something that should happen to me for that talented receiver. And they haven't really figured out the Travis Hunter piece of this. Like, he's like kind of involved, but like also not really involved. So I don't really know what they plan on doing with that. It just feels like you're getting like half best out of him on both sides of the ball when you want the best version of Travis Hunter, which is a really talented player on both sides. So I would like to see a solution to that. I don't know what the solution is myself. I'm not paid to be an NFL head coach, but like I kind of figured they would draft him under that pretense. But like, yeah, it just feels like they had a lot of. I mean, when you have 6.5 yards per pass and 5.1 yards per rush, you generally expect to win football games, and they didn't. and especially to a backup quarterback. That's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it's more than just a bit of a problem, but it is still just one game, and they did win week 1, so they play Houston next week. Which, I mean, again, AFC South feels. I mean, we'll see how long the Colts keep this up. Maybe it's not up for grabs, but it feels possible. But yeah, definitely, like you said, it's crazy. This is week 2, and these things are already happening.
Yeah, it is a little weird that it's this soon, but like maybe it's one of those things where you need to flesh out some of the guys and like, are you a man or mouse sort of thing, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, would like to see. We'll see what goes with the Travis Hunter stuff as well. It's been underwhelming. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe play him at corner, and then like I feel like everyone thought you'd play him at corner, then try to work him in as much receiver as possible. They've kind of done the opposite. I don't know. Well, they have time to figure it out.
Yeah, I think you need to have him master one position in the NFL first. That's just my opinion, but maybe I don't know. Maybe they have a better plan than I do, but it just feels like you need him to learn one position really well before you focus on everything as it goes.
Yeah, I know it's a bit early, but also maybe you could have just stayed at 5 and drafted Ted McMillan if you really wanted a receiver.
Yeah, he's looked good.
Yeah, but we'll see. Again, he's a young player. I think he's going to work out. I'm not writing him off at all. Kyle, let's go to maybe the game of the week. Kyle, this is the first time they said on Red Zone that the Giants went to Dallas, and it was in the early slate. First time in like decades that had happened. So of course, it's one of the best games ever. The Giants scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. The Cowboys scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, 41 points total in the fourth quarter. Then overtime happened. Neither team could score. Russell Wilson ends up with 450 passing yards in a losing effort. Malik Neighbors had 167 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Wendell Robinson had 140 yards and a touchdown as well, including a big one late. It was a kind of a normal game, and then just all hell broke loose in the fourth quarter. We saw a 64-yard game-tying field goal by Brandon Aubrey. This was insane.
Absolutely nuts game.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson played really well until his last throw.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a terrible decision. And yeah, all of a sudden it was like the Cowboys felt like they had this game, and all of a sudden they didn't. And it was like, it just went back and forth. And there's a couple interesting conversations for me. First of all, we mentioned it in the preseason poll thing. Brandon Aubrey may not be the most decorated kicker of all time resume wise, but this is the most talented kicker we've ever seen. I mean, this is insane. Like they get within a 70-yard field goal, and it's like they're getting points.
Yeah.
I mean, he's ridiculous. He makes everything. He is he is such an unbelievable weapon for this team, which this is a good offense anyways. Don't get me wrong, but like he's automatic. He is literally automatic in these situations, and he is a machine. And I mean, he hit the clutch field goal to tie this game, and then hits one to win it, and that one felt like a chip shot from 40 plus yards. And I mean, that was an unbelievable thing, and I can't believe I'm leading with the kicker, but he feels like the biggest story of this team right now. He is unbelievable.
No, I mean, in overtime, it's like they had 30 seconds left at the play ended. Like they could have hurried up and spiked it and tried to get more yards. They said, 46. Let's just kick it in overtime here. Like if you missed it, it's a tie game. Like that's the end of overtime. But they're like at 46. Like usually you see teams do that with like 32-yard field goal. Like even that's crazy. No, he again. We have a vacancy with the GOAT kicker now that the whole Justin Tucker thing happened. So, Brandon Aubrey's the GOAT. He's the GOAT kicker already.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have the resume of Vinatieri where he has multiple game-winning Super Bowl kicks and like some of the most difficult kicks we've seen in high-pressure situations. That's obviously a different factor in the resume. There is nobody who's making 60-plus yard field goals look routine than this guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just insane. Like, it's a different level of ball game when you come to this guy. And I mean, even with all that, I think the offense is really good. I thought Dak played a fantastic game in this one. Russell Wilson got all the numbers because, I mean, he threw for 450 yards. Russell Wilson does deserve his flowers in this game, despite that bad interception. But like, I felt like Dak Prescott could have had 500 yards if his guys could catch the ball. Like they had a bad drop in the overtime too, that would have extended a drive. And they had a big play where he had a guy in his face throwing a corner route like 25 yards down the field and put it on the money with coverage there. I mean, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, yes, Dak Prescott in the playoffs has issues. He's had bad games, but it's one of those things where I keep looking at, like, I'll defend Dak every day. Like, when he makes plays like that and has games like this, like, I think the guy deserves a lot of credit. Like, he carries this offense in a way that's impressive.
Yeah, and I've been critical of Dak, but he's been really impressive the start of the season. There's no denying that. And in some ways, it's just like the perfect scenario for Prescott, where it's like you can just let him have to throw it like 50 times a game. He's going to make a mistake or two, although he's been good the start of the year. But you assume he will have his like mistake a game that you usually get from him, and it's like, okay, that's fine because you need to score like 40 to win anyway. So like one mistake you can live with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's really the story of this Cowboys team is like this defense, they Bland. I thought Bland looked really good in week one. Like there was a lot of talk about AJ Brown not getting the ball. Well, a lot of it was because Deron Bland was on the field to me. Deron Bland's out of this game, and all of a sudden they immediately give up 450 passing yards.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a mistake. I think this Cowboys defense has some issues for sure. But they have a quarterback who's not afraid to go back and, grip it and rip it.
Yeah, I like this comment that says, I told y'all Jerry's plan was to beat every team 48-45 this year. He went full on Bengals. I just like the idea that Jerry Jones is like, you know what team we need to be? Cincinnati Bengals. That's what we need to emulate us on.
That's the franchise I want to replicate. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, that they got the win, and honestly, you could argue that they should have won week one, and despite everything that's gone on off the field, like this team's done okay. This team's done okay. Like you want the defense to play better than this, but there is something here that at least is okay.
Yeah, at least the offense is playing well. Playing the Chiefs next week, that could be no one's expecting the Cowboys to win, but maybe they can shock the world the Giants. Giants play. Maybe they can shock the world and beat the Chiefs and put them to 0-3. Should be a fun game. Kyle, let's move on. Let's go to your team. This was another crazy game. The fact that this is almost an afterthought, it just shows how insane some of these games were. As we saw the Dolphins offense be very slow, but then it woke up in the second quarter. They hit a deep shot to Tyreek Hill. Devon Achane was able to get going, at least in the passing game. The running game still rough for the Dolphins. Dolphins defense still struggles. Drake May ends up with 10 yards per attempt. That's a good sign for Kyle. And then we saw a punt return touchdown followed up by a kick return touchdown. Both were lead changers in the fourth quarter. Absolutely nuts game, and then Tua makes a few mistakes late that cost them. Kyle, what was your thoughts on this one? I'm assuming the heart was racing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, pretty wild game overall. It's just one of those games. It felt like, again, where we dominated the first half, and I think we did, but like all of a sudden you go into halftime, we're up 15-14, and yeah, the Dolphins offense came alive a little bit. There wasn't a lot of possessions in the first half because this game was going quick. There was a lot of long drives. Patriots had a really long drive for their second score where they couldn't convert extra points. So that played a big part in it too. But yeah, I think the Dolphins offense looked more like itself in this game. And I think that's probably your positive takeaway from Miami. However, this defense has some major issues, man. Like they are getting torched these first 2 weeks. And like, look, I come away from this game excited about Drake May because this was probably the best performance of Drake May's career. But like you're also looking at a game where Ramondre Stevenson was the number one receiver on the team, and like they just couldn't cover anybody. This secondary has some real issues, man, for Miami, and I think they got a long way to go. Even with the offense playing a little bit better, they got the ball out a little bit quicker. But like even then, like it came down to the last few plays, and the biggest plays that Miami lost at the end of the game was because they couldn't protect the passer and they couldn't protect the quarterback, and that's when Milton Williams and Harold Landry made a few big plays at the end of the game to win it. Yeah,
kind of came down to the trenches, which is what the Patriots are, tried to improve upon, and what the Dolphins have not been great at. Ramondre Stevenson had 88 receiving yards out of the 230 total. Austin Hooper with 38. Stephon Diggs 32. Hey, Stephon Diggs, leading wide receiver. He's back.
He looked decent. Like it
Mhm.
was a decent day, I would say. He had a couple big plays. Kayshon Boutte had the big touchdown. So I liked what I saw out of this offense in this game. And like I said, Drake May had his best performance of his career. So I thought, the drive to score in the second half in the third quarter, I thought was like, if you're going to get really excited about Drake May as far as a pro prospect and a pro player, that drive in the third quarter is probably what you get excited about, because he had a big play where he stepped up in the pocket, avoided a pass rush from Jalen Phillips, hit Ramondre Stevenson down the sideline, also, bought himself some time and ran into touchdown late in that quarter as well. Those are things you get excited about. But like I said, I want to see how it looks against a different defense, because obviously this might be the worst defense in the league right now.
Yeah, another team that is a challenger is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who you're playing next week. So we'll see how that goes. Thursday night game, Dolphins Bills. First underwhelming Thursday night game of the season.
Definitely feels that way.
Yeah, first primetime game that you're like, that's okay.
Yeah, this Miami team, man. Like, I don't know. They got what they needed at Achane, Waddle, and Hill, but like. They had a couple unique like Malik Washington plays, but outside of that, like, there's just not a lot to look forward to. And like, it's just Tua's. It's frustrating. It's not all Tua's fault. I thought he played pretty well today, but at the same time, like, if you ask Tua to hold the ball more than 2 seconds, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't trust the situation all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a weird situation when you watch him play.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, let's go to what ended up being another weird situation. Panthers Cardinals. So this was a game that we all turned off because we were like, okay, let's focus on the other two late window games. And then all of a sudden the Panthers start crawling back. So first, I don't know, 2.5 quarters of this game, Kyler Murray's making amazing plays. He's playing, classic Kyler Murray football. Arizona Cardinals offense is humming against, admittedly not the best defense in football, but they're doing great stuff. Some mistakes by Bryce Young, some turnovers by the Panthers end up, really putting them behind the 8 ball. And all of a sudden the Panthers start chipping away. You had Kyler Murray, who he has a play where he tries to do too much, throws an interception. It's like, whatever, you're up. I think it was 27-9 at that point. So it's like, whatever. It's one mistake. Panthers score a touchdown, cut the lead down. Eventually, they score another touchdown to make it a 5-point game. They need to hit the onside kick, and they do hit the onside kick. There was then like a million penalties on the final drive, but ultimately the Cardinals get the stop. Kyle, for your America's team, this was maybe another one to get your heartbeat racing a little.
Yeah, definitely a uninspiring 2-0 start for my Arizona Cardinals. We gotta work some things out. I think in spurts the defenses look good. Granted, not against the best two offenses. Definitely struggled in the second half of this game, but like, I don't know. So like the Bryce Young thing is obviously a conversation. I think Bryce Young had some really nice throws in this game, but like, it just felt like a lot of those throws came against like prevent defenses, right? Like,
yeah.
And it just he looks hesitant back there, and I think that's the biggest problem. Like, it just feels like when Bryce Young drops back to pass, I don't feel a ton of confidence in the play developing. And I think that's also a part of the problem with the team itself, in that they don't have enough talented players. But I also just don't feel a ton of confidence from him so far, and it's just so weird based on what we saw at the end of last season. So. We'll see how Bryce is able to adjust in those situations, but definitely a bit of a struggle in this game.
It was. He's not looked great these 2 weeks, which is unfortunate because you were hoping could he build off of his strong end to last season. It just hasn't happened. Ted McMillan's looked great, 100 yards in this one. He had a good week 1 as well. So it seemed like you nailed that pick, but it really is an offense of Ted McMillan right now, which is just, it's hard to do too much with that. So yeah, again, this game should have been a blowout. I mean, the Cardinals totally let their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter and nearly came back to bite them. I mean, they were completely humming through 3 quarters.
Yeah. Kind of inexcusable to let it happen to the last drive. But like you said, you get the win. But like they were up 20-3 at halftime, and then they were up 27-3 later in the third quarter, and they have to do better. Like if this team wants to make the playoffs, like yes, wins are wins. You count your wins, doesn't matter. But you have to do better than these first 2 weeks. So we'll see how they adjust. We've seen, I think the best version of Arizona in these first 2 weeks have looked decent, but you have to consistently show that throughout. And that's a big problem with, I think, Kyler Murray and the entire team.
Yeah. So. Good news is, due to the schedule, you were able to start off 2-0 regardless, even if you had some issues. And, it's hard to win games. They played 49ers, then Mac Jones 49ers. So, again, who looked good today, they won. But, the murderer's row of Spencer Rattler, Bryce Young, and then Mac Jones so far for Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, this Titans team has struggled. That's who they play week 5, too. So, they have opportunity to stack up some wins here to start the season. Their schedule does get a little bit harder in the middle, but I think that they got to go and prove it to us. I think this team still has the talent to be able to make the playoffs, but I still think there's a long way to go here. Let's see it get a little bit better.
They were so close to this being you were going to say, I told you, America's team. They did it again. They had it, and then they just let their foot out the gas. And maybe the Panthers can build on something going to play the Falcons next week. Let's go to another NFC West team that won today, the Seattle Seahawks beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was very weird where Aaron Rodgers had another dropped interception, and you're thinking okay, is this guy just going to have the best turnover luck ever? And then he had one of the most unlucky interceptions you'll ever see, where it pinballed off of a bunch of players and ended up getting picked. We saw Mason Rudolph sighting in this game, which is never ideal. Both quarterbacks were a bit sloppy with the football here. Darnold had a couple picks as well. Maybe to play at a game, actually, though, this was a competitive game throughout. The Seahawks went up 7, and Caleb Johnson on a kickoff return, the ball goes through his hands, and I don't know what he thought happened, but he then just runs to the sideline as if it was a drop pass or something, and the Seahawks end up recovering it in the end zone. That puts them up 2 scores, and the Steelers couldn't recover from that. That was weird.
Yeah, that was weird as an undersell. Yeah, I mean, bizarre. I mean, look, there's the new kickoff rules. Obviously, it threw him for a loop. He thought it was a fair catch or a touchback at that point. It wasn't. And all of a sudden, you're looking at that team, and you're down 24-14. I think it was at that point. You did go down and get a field goal, make it 24-17, but that's a huge play in the game. So
yeah,
I think the Seattle 31 points is misleading because of that. That was a big play. But yeah, I don't think I think Seattle's defense and special team has still showed that it could be very good this season, and I think that's what you come away with impressed.
Yeah, although they did have Jason Myers didn't have a great day, but he did hit a 54-yard field goal, but I'm going back to the kickoff. So Caleb Johnson, I'm confused. Is there, Kyle, you follow more college than I do. Is there a rule in college like that? Because it hits his hands as well. So it is a rule in college?
I believe so. If it hits the end zone at any time, it's a touchback, I think, in college. I could be wrong, but I think that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Even if it hits his hands, though, I would assume if it hits your hands, then that counts.
Or maybe he just assumed it was bouncing out of the end zone. I mean, that could have been a factor, too. He just figured it was going to bounce out. But I don't know.
It was also weird where the Seahawks guy who recovered it, he did recover in bounds, but then he threw it back into the field of play after he recovered it. It's a touchdown. You have it. But live, it made it look like it was still in play. So that was weird too.
Yeah. It was a bizarre play overall, but yeah, definitely not something you want to do in your second career NFL game. But yeah, it's just a weird one. I mean, I don't know. You gotta just say it was chalk it up to inexperience and move on, I guess, and hope he does better the next time.
Which is weird because it was almost a flip of last week when the Jets had a special team turnover to kind of flip that game in favor of the Steelers. Steelers defense is still struggling. They don't have depth in the secondary outside of Jalen Ramsey right now, and they really are struggling to cover That's even with getting the turnovers, they're still giving up nearly 10 yards per attempt. An offense that looked like it was completely Jackson Smith and Jigba dependent. Well, they got 90 yards out of Cooper Kupp in this game, and you're going to win a lot of games when you can get that kind of Cooper Kupp performance. Kenneth Walker had a play where, it was a well-blocked play. I believe it was just like a run play, just try and make the field goal easier, and then he ends up getting a touchdown late, which was a huge play. So, this Steelers defense is not doing anything as well as we thought it would do heading into this year.
Yeah. Definitely issues on that side of the ball that we didn't expect. And that's the biggest problem with Pittsburgh right now. Like, this is a team that we expected to potentially compete for a playoff spot. Like, this defense isn't going to do that, right? So we'll see how they adjust. We'll see, it's only week 2. We'll see if they can get better and improve. But, I think there's definitely some issues on that side. And just, it's another one where your lead running back is getting 8 yards per carry. You ended up with 4 yards per carry in this game, and your quarterback is getting almost 9 yards per attempt. The Seahawks are definitely going to win a lot of games doing that.
Yeah, Darnold has to protect the football, and Rodgers has to protect the football a little better as well. Definitely an underwhelming game 2 for Rodgers. So I still think it's fine. I think people overreacted to week 1. People might overreact to week 2 as well. I think he'll be a solid quarterback for them this season.
Yeah. Definitely feels like that was a bit of a week 1 overreaction game, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay. Well, let's move on, Kyle. We still have a bit to get. We still have 6 games to get to, so we'll plow ahead here. Let's go Niners Saints. This was a close game. 49ers pull off the 5-point victory. Honestly, both quarterbacks played well in this game. Like, we were joking about Spencer Rattler versus Mac Jones, but it was they were both just running the offense that was available for them, and Mac Jones just had an easier offense to run in this game. Kyle, Mac Jones looked like Patriots Mac Jones, rookie Patriots Mac Jones out there in this game. Nothing crazy, but making this solid throws. Juwan Jennings got wide open for a touchdown. McCaffrey was able to do enough. And I didn't think Spencer Rattler was bad either. I thought this was a surprisingly very well played game by both of those two guys. Yeah,
they both did fine. I like both of them in this game. I mean, we'll see what these defenses look like long term too. But I think both of these guys look fine. And my opinion on Spencer Rattler has always been I think he's going to be a good backup. I mean, is he going to be anything more than that? I don't know. But he played well enough in this game for his team to win, which I think is a quality thing you could get in a backup quarterback. So I liked what Rattler did, and like you said, Mac Jones stepped up into this situation and played really well. So I have no issues with either of these quarterbacks in this game for sure.
Yeah, I had the thought too of I'm like Rattler's going to play for for 10 years. I don't know if he's going to be a starter for any year other than this one, but that just feels correct. And I also had the thought of I just feel like if you're a backup quarterback, just find a way to be the backup quarterback for the 49ers because they always have injuries at the quarterback position. You're going to find some playing time. You're going to look good because it's Kyle Shanahan, and you can do that. Really, the Saints had a chance to win this. There was kind of a weird fumble with Alvin Kamara. This game could have flipped the other way, which is, I guess at least fun for the Saints. Saints aren't going 0-17. There's enough, they're scrappy. Right, they're the talent isn't there, but they're still somehow staying in these games.
They are staying in these games. I still wonder how many of these guys are going to be on the team by the end of the season. Is Kamara and Demario Davis, who were probably the best 2 players on their team in this game again, are those 2 guys going to be on this team by the end of the season? I think that's a fair conversation.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it would make sense to potentially move off. How about the 49ers though? I mean, 2-0. You have the injury with Mac Jones. They played the Cardinals and the Jaguars coming up. Maybe you can get one of those wins there and try and stay afloat until Purdy comes back.
Yeah, neither of those teams have looked awesome. I mean, you have some winnable games on your schedule here, and you lose Purdy, you lose Kittle. Those are both big losses for this team, and they've managed to survive so far. So we'll see how it continues. I mean, there's still enough quality talent here you can get a little bit excited.
Well, let's move on. Speaking of getting excited, a very exciting game for Lions fans. Another 50-point performance for the Lions after a really underwhelming week 1. They end up, looking like the Detroit Lions again. is really the main takeaway. If things felt easy for Goff, even when they weren't easy, he was still able to make them look easy. He ends up with over 10 yards per attempt, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's pretty good. Pretty good stat line for Jared Goff. Amon-Ra with over 100 yards, Jameson Williams with over 100 yards. Isaac Taylor has one skill, and boy, is he good at it with the one-handed catches on the sideline. Underwhelming performance yet again for the Bears, although it's hard to blame the offense too much, given how the defense ended up playing in this one. Lions with double-digit points in every single quarter here. This was classic Lions. Not classic Lions. This was recent Lions.
Yeah, I mean, like the reports of their demise was greatly over-exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
The run game came back in this game with the force. The passing game came back in this game with the force. They looked really good offensively. They looked like a playoff team again. And honestly, I think, we're going to talk about Green Bay here in a second, but I think that was maybe more of a commentary on them to start this season. So yeah, that was a really good performance, really good job from the offensive coordinator, the interior offensive line, the 2 areas of focus that we had from that game, and Jared Goff. Like you said, he struggled. That whole ridiculous stat of he's 0-19 without Ben Johnson and Sean McVay or whatever, that can be put to bed now. That was awesome. He looked great in this game, and good job from the Lions.
Wait, that can't be true. He had wins before Ben Johnson, or is it like, how is that stat there?
I don't know. I saw something that was like, I saw a tweet that was like, without Sean McVay or Ben Johnson, he was 0-19-1 as a starter.
That can't be. They did not go. He did not lose every game he played before Ben Johnson became the offensive coordinator for the Lions.
I don't know. That it was a weird stat. Like I think it's wrong, but like people were
unless there's maybe you're missing. Maybe it's like on like on like home games or something.
You can look it up. I don't know. Like
there's something else there. That alone, he has won. I am convinced he has won at least a football game without the Jeff Fisher years. He won a game, right? He didn't go over in that.
Did he? I mean, he wasn't the starter to start the season though. That was
but he eventually became the starter.
Yeah. I'll look it up. We'll see.
Okay. Well, you can look that up. I'll do the Bears stuff real quick. I mean, again, offense did look better in this game. Roman Dunze looked really good, 128 yards and a pair of touchdowns. So that's nice for Bears fans. Again, ultimately, like things got out of hand so quickly, especially with that end of half situation where some people might say the Bears got screwed there. At the same time, like, there's a play, if you missed it, late at the end of the half. It looked like Isaac Taylor makes the catch on the sideline. Turns out he was tackled inbounds. So because of that, the clock was stopped when it shouldn't have been. So they got 6 seconds. But also, the Lions would have gotten down there quicker to be able to spike it had they known they had to do that. So it's kind of a weird situation there. But ultimately, I'm still not panicking on the Bears yet. Offense, but obviously, again, I know where the panic button is.
Yeah, I know where the panic button is. I'm not concerned. My takeaways wasn't from the offense of this game. Like you say, they get screwed at the end of the half. They gave them 52 points. Like
no, I was saying I didn't think they got screwed.
Yeah, if someone was going to argue it though, like you gave up 52 points, it doesn't matter to me. Like right. They definitely need Jalen Johnson back. He did play in this game, but like he wasn't at his best. He wasn't back at his full strength. They need full strength Jalen Johnson. They need their best version of their defense. And this wasn't it. This wasn't their good performance. I still think there's talent in this team. It could be a bit of a slow burn, but like we'll see.
Yeah. Did you find a stat?
I just see the same tweet where it said Jared Goff had 5 different play callers in his career. Under the 3 not named Sean McVay and Ben Johnson, he's 0-19-1.
Okay, it's a play caller again. I feel like I don't. What is the source for this tweet?
It's just one guy, Senji T.
Okay, well maybe we need to find better sources.
Listen, I just saw this and I saw people running with it, but like we don't have to worry about it anymore because he won.
Yeah. I don't. Okay. Well, either way, good performance by Ben Johnson. Definitely not true now.
Yeah, definitely not true now. And he threw 5 touchdowns in this game, so we don't have to complain about him anymore.
Yes. Let's move on. Let's go to the Packers, who, again, this Lions performance makes the Packers look even better, given that they completely made the Lions look inept. and then the Lions score 50 points the next week. I mean, Jordan Love's playing really well. He's playing like maybe he could even get himself into the MVP discussion type of football with some of the throws he's been making. Still the occasional missed throw, but like you'll take that when you're getting the positives he's giving you. And then this defense is just it's unbelievable. Obviously, Parsons is going to get all the credit because he's the star edge rusher that they traded for. But like everyone's playing well. Like they're getting 4 guys who can win their one-on-one matchups on the line every play. They're stopping the run. These line. Hey, Micah Parsons' run defense isn't that big of a deal when you have Edger and Cooper behind him. And then they're covering well. I mean, this Packers team is as wrong I have been about a team since doing these previews. I did not think they were even I thought they were not even like for sure a playoff team. And now, I mean, they look like they're maybe even favorites in the NFC. It's certainly top 2 team in the NFC.
Look, nobody wins the Super Bowl in September, right? That is just, we've seen this before, but at the same time, if you're going to go through these first 2 weeks and say who's the most impressive team, it has to be the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
This 27-18 score line doesn't even do them justice. I think they were really good in this game. Like you said, Jordan Love, I mean, like, even if you miss a few throws, if you're having 9 yards per attempt, 292 yards and 2 touchdowns, you're doing a lot of things right. This offense looks fantastic. The defense looks even better than fantastic. Like you said, Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker have looked really good at the linebacker spots. I think Xavier McKinney's been outstanding in the coverage area too. And yeah, I mean, like, everything about this Packers team is checking all the boxes.
And you think about their schedule too. They play the Browns, the Cowboys, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Steelers, the Panthers. I mean, this is a team that's going to start off like there's a good chance this is an 8-0 team when they play the Eagles in early November.
Yeah, it's definitely breaking for them at least. You know, they're it's not all those games are gimmies, but they should be the favorites going forward until that Eagles game for sure. And I mean, at this point, there's not a lot of teams that are going to be underdogs against.
Right. Yeah. I mean, no, this is crazy. I mean, the only just think about what's the concern? I guess does some of this start to regress? Is this just someone brought it up earlier, but Derek Carr was an MVP candidate after week 2 last year. So things are going to change. I'm not saying that with the Packers in general, but just one team that we think is great is going to fall off. And then also injuries can always play a role. But as of right now, I mean, again, Jaden Daniels was beating everybody last year and he couldn't do much of anything. I don't even have any takeaways for the Commanders. It's I have some defensive takeaways, but the offense, I'm I don't know. I think the Packers are just that good right now.
They are that good right now. However, they struggled in the first half of that Giants game too. And I think if you're going to look at the balls, big picture, if this offense even regresses a little bit, then all of a sudden you're looking at a difficult football team to see the future for, because it's an old defense that's not very good. And you have an offense that, if it's not lighting the world on fire, I think this team is just in general going to have some issues. Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about the defense. I mean, one thing that we had brought up was we didn't love how the Commanders attacked this offseason. They had a lot of cap space. They decided to keep Marshawn Lattimore for another year. They could have saved $20 million. I don't think they had to cut him. I think a team would have given them a draft pick for him. Probably you could have gotten a cheap player as well to help fill out the roster. They signed Javon Kinlaw to that. That's $35 million right there on that situation. And ultimately the defense looks just as bad as it was last year. At least it did in this game. Lattimore was, yes, some of it was Matt LaFleur. Some of it was just this is not a scheme that he thrives in. This is not what he's built for. I think he's going to eventually go to a different scheme and be really good. I just think this is not a great fit for him. Trey Amos made some plays. He did get beat a couple times as well. He's looked fine for what they drafted him for. But as of right now, I think every team in the NFC that we talked about as a maybe dark horse contender has fully lived up to the billing, except for the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, when your top 2 corners are your 2 of your 4 leading tacklers, I think that's generally a problem. They just, I think they're getting targeted on the outside and they're losing on the outside right now. I mean, that is generally an issue, and I think this team has a lot of holes, and I still think Bobby Wagner is a pretty good football player, even if at his age, and there's a couple decent pieces here, but overall, it's a team I'm not overly enthusiastic about on the defense. I don't think that's a hot take.
Right. And you're right. Like you can't. They're not going to win any games when the offense does this, which is have an underwhelming day.
Yeah, like they have to, like last season, they have to be awesome on that end to win, and I think that's just going to be the case of this team all season.
Yeah, still not so my Jaden Daniels stock. Everyone's saying, "Oh, sophomore slump." Like, let's relax. I think like the underwhelming week 1, and then a bad week 2 against a good defense. Sophomore slumps don't always happen. Just because it happened to CJ Stroud doesn't mean it's now going to happen to every other quarterback.
Yeah, he's still a good player. Let's calm down.
Yeah, Kyle, let's talk about another fun young player, Cam Ward. And the Tennessee Titans ultimately lose to the Rams, but you compared Cam Ward to Kyler Murray, and that's kind of what this season reminds me of for the Titans. Like, remember Kyler's rookie year? We thought they were going to be horrible, and like they ended up being like okay. Like I think they won like 5 or 6 games, and like Kyler was great in those games, and it was like, oh, this is fun. Cam Ward did have a fumble, and again, his numbers continue to be bad. 175 yards on 33 attempts, but he made some really nice plays, including one of the best touchdowns you'll ever see, running completely towards his right, throwing all the way to the left side of the field for a touchdown. This was a competitive game through 3 quarters, and then Stafford threw an interception late in the second quarter that allowed the Titans to take the lead. Ultimately, after the fumble from Ward, Stafford kind of took over, and the Rams were able to win. But it's a surprisingly competitive game once again for the Titans. Yeah,
the Titans are competitive. Like that's at least like a positive, right? Like you get excited about that. I think they have a long way to go, and this offense is a long way to go, and that just is. Like you said, Cam Ward made some mistakes without a doubt, but you still see the talent that gets you really excited. So, I think the Tennessee offense is going to – I think Cam Ward's going to be okay. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's stuck in a difficult situation to succeed. But, like, you still see the flashes that you get excited about for sure. And I was excited for that. But, like, yeah, I think this is also a team that has gone against 2 really competitive teams to start the season. And they've looked inferior even though they've been competitive. And I think you can even take away – like, you don't like moral victories in the NFL, but, like – at this point, these have to be moral victories in a lot of ways because this is a very young team, a very inexperienced team going up against playoff teams. I think when you were just recently the worst team in football, you'll take some moral victories. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, it's not going to be perfect. And especially when you're going against a team of Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems against that team. And this Rams defense still generally looks pretty good too. So I like this team. And Stafford looked really good, I thought, in this game. Like if they're getting Stafford's looked better this year than he looked last year. Again, playoffs aside, where he was great in the playoffs. Like Stafford's played I know the bad turnover, but he played really well in this game. He did. In 2 weeks, I thought he's looked really good. They didn't score a ton of points in that week 1 game, but I think that they looked good in that one. And I think he's doing the job. And, he is someone who's very inconsistent at times, and maybe there's some down weeks, but at the same time, I think through the first 2 weeks, I think Devontae Adams has been an upgrade to Cooper Kupp. I don't think there's any doubt about it. He's looked fantastic. He looked fantastic in this game. Yeah. Great stuff from that. Let's move on. 2 games left to talk about. The 2 teams that played in Sunday Night Football, playing division rivals. First, we'll talk Baltimore Ravens. DeAndre Hopkins apparently is back. That's cool. He's been making some nice plays for the Ravens. Another classic Lamar Jackson game. It started a little slow. You're looking at I was talking about the scrappy Browns defense. They did do a good job at first, but ultimately, even with Derrick Henry only having 2.1 yards per carry, Lamar Jackson in the passing game was able to really go strong with only 225 yards, but only 29 attempts, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and some really nice plays in there, especially to Hopkins. Browns weren't able to get much going offensively, which was kind of expected. Flacco in the Blaine Gabbert zone, under 5 yards per attempt. Kyle, your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson's really good. This Ravens defense looked a lot better in this game, which should be expected against this offense compared to what they played. We did see Quinshon Judkins in this game, and I thought he looked pretty good. And it could be another one of those things where, like I said, like long term, the Browns are going to be bad this season. That's fine. But, maybe they kind of nailed this draft. Like, you look at their guys, like Quinshon Judkins had impact in this game. You look at Harold Fannin. He's had a good first 2 weeks as a tight end position. Maybe you could even look at getting a guy like Njoku and getting a draft pick out of him or something like that, or keep both of them and run 2 tight end sets. Dylan Sampson did catch a touchdown in this game. He had a good week 1. Like, you nailed some of these draft picks, it feels like, and that's at least a positive, I think, for Cleveland and what they're doing going forward. But this is just different tiers of opponents. Like, Baltimore should have been mad after losing that game. They looked fantastic in the second half of this game, and like you said, Lamar Jackson, they didn't do a lot in the run game, but Lamar Jackson made up for it.
I think we might be officially in Dylan Gabriel watch here, Kyle, with all due respect to Joe Flacco. I think it might be, personally, because I think the defense has played well enough that, you would feel okay about you're not putting him in a horrible situation, even if the offense isn't great. We did see decent amount of Shitter Sanders shots in this game. I saw at least multiple when I went back and watched it, so that was kind of surprising. He's not even the backup. Play the Packers next week. You're not going to put Gabriel in there. Lions probably not there. Vikings probably not there. But then you get the Steelers, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets. Feels like in one of those games we're going to get some Dylan Gabriel.
Well, you don't want to see him against the Patriots, right? That's too good of a defense.
You're right. So clearly you have to put him in before that.
Yeah. Look, I imagine he's going to get in. I imagine both of these quarterbacks are going to play, honestly. And, the Schefter thing earlier this week, what was it today about the report of, like, he rejected the Ravens because they wanted to draft him in the 5th round to back up Lamar, and
which I think is fine. Like, that, I know we're all on the Shitter hate train, but, like, that kind of makes sense. Like, he would have to fight. He'd still have to fight for the backup job. They have no reason to develop him to be more than a backup. Like, at least the Browns, he could have fought his way to be a backup and probably found his way to win the job. Like, he didn't play well in preseason, so he's not going to win the job. But, like, he at least had the opportunity.
Yeah, this isn't like a new thing. Like, no matter the sport, like if there is a block to your pathway to making the pro in starting position, like, you're not going to necessarily sign up for that. Like, this isn't a new thing, but I don't know. We didn't need that story.
Probably not. Yeah, that was people ran with that. Let's go to another game here. Let's finish off with the Bills Jets. Josh Allen played very well despite the not great box score. It's kind of a surprise when I saw the box score is just 148 yards, 25 attempts. He also got a bloody nose in this game, had to miss some time with that. So that was not ideal, but ultimately Bills ran the ball very effectively. Josh Allen ran the offense very effectively. They were able to put up a lot of points and then kind of just sit on the lead. Obviously, part of the story is just the Bills' defense looked great in this game, or the Jets' offense looked bad, whatever you want to take. Justin Fields goes 3 for 11 with 27 yards, ends up leaving the game. Tyrod Taylor also has 11 attempts, goes 7 for 11, but just 56 yards. So the Jets end up under 100 yards passing in this football game. They did run the ball relatively effectively, but yeah, I mean, but not with the handoffs, mostly with the quarterbacks. I mean, this was the Jets fell back down to earth, or the Bills defense showed that maybe the Ravens are just really good. One of the two.
Yeah, I mean, it's 154 yards of offense. Do you want to take a guess at the QBR for Justin Fields?
Oh, QBR's got to be rough. It's got to be like 11.
It's 1.1.
Wow. Okay, I needed to move a decimal point.
Yeah. Granted, that's 0 out of 100. He was 1.1. I kind of said it in the pregame thing, like when a team gets a little more tape on this team, how's it going to look? It didn't look good. Like, it was a struggle. And yeah, I mean, like the Bills look like a Super Bowl contender, and the Jets look like a bad football team. And like, they played well in week 1. We'll see how it goes going forward. I think that their identity and the way they want to play is going to confuse some teams and bother some teams. But the Buffalo Bills is not one of those teams. And the Buffalo Bills are built to win on the line of scrimmage. I think they have some weaknesses on the outside still. And the Jets aren't built to punish that. That's just not the way they play.
Yeah. The Jets. So Garrett Wilson was the leading receiver with 50 yards. Second leading receiver was Breece Hall with 9 yards. So that's just the offensive day. Which credit to Garrett Wilson for somehow getting 50 yards out of this under 100-yard total performance for the Jets passing. Yeah, I mean it was tough day for the Jets. It was so exciting in week 1. Maybe they're just not that good.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had a good performance, and you can build off that, but yeah, it's just it is what it is. Like they played a much better team. Buffalo checked all the boxes. They did what they had to do. It felt like Josh Allen had like 6 or 7 dumb incompletions in this game, where it's like, let's just see what happens here. And it felt like he could have had like 300 yards if he wanted to.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, let's. Hey, I guess MVP watch. Lamar Jackson. Do you think he's moving up with him versus Josh Allen? We can't do this week 2, right? This is too early.
I mean, people are gonna do it. We're gonna see it tomorrow for sure. Lamar Jackson is the MVP.
Yeah, I guess so. MVP3 is back on the table. Yeah, Kyle. Let them know you can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at Kyle Gron, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, the audio only podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline Podcast. It should be available there. We'll be back next week. Or not next. Well, we'll be back next week at midnight Eastern. But also on Wednesday we have the preview show where we will pick every single game and talk about the Monday night games, recap those. So be on the lookout for that. Kyle, how is week 2? How are we? I think week 1 there's so much adrenaline. Of like football's back. Week 2, I kind of feel a little tired here. 1:00 on the East Coast.
Yeah, it does drag a little bit towards the end, but we had really good games. I mean, that morning slate was fantastic. When you hear that Aubrey kick goes in from 64 yards, you're immediately flipping your channel. I mean, that was fantastic stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Should be some good Monday night games as well. Bucks, Texans, and Chargers, Raiders for playoff hopefuls. So that should be fun. So yeah, again, Kyle, any final thoughts? Are ready to get out of here?
No, ready to get out of here. Let's call it a night.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody for watching or listening. We hope to see you Wednesday or next week on Sunday if you're only a recap. If you're a recap only listener, we appreciate it either way. And of course, as always, have a good one.
Peace.